You're answering your own question, PFTPM posse. You're chasing your tail. I don't like it. I'll get used to it. And when I get used to it, I'll like it. That's my point. That's my point. Give it time. Be patient. You will get used to it. And you'll realize once you click on the rumor mill, whether you're on desktop, tablet, or cell phone device, you'll scroll and you'll realize it looks the same. Look, I made sure it was the same font. They were going to change the font. I said, no. We got to have the same font. We can't have this complete change to a different font. We're going to change the look of the site. As much as possible needs to be constant and consistent and same. The font's the same. You've got the video boxes where you can see the clips of me, babbling on PFTPM, or Sims and me when we get back together again for PFT Live in a few weeks, or whatever else we put in there. It really gives us a lot more flexibility, but at the end of the day, it will be very similar once you get used to it. And once you get used to it, you will like it. And you might not like it until you get used to it, but when you get used to it, you will like it, PFTPM posse. Now, another question on the same topic. What made you decide to change the format layout of PFT? Also, it says new and improved. What has been improved? What improvements should we be looking for and or trying out specifically? This is a 100% legitimate question. It's more improved from the standpoint of functionality. It's improved from the standpoint of, and I'll give you one. The teams pages are going to be dramatically improved. When you click on the teams page, let's say you're a Cowboys fan. I think PFTPM posse is a Cowboys fan. When you click on that, you're basically going to have a rumor mill experience simply devoted to the Cowboys. It's going to be all the stories that we have decided should fit on that page. Instead of just what you've seen in the past, it was almost like an RSS feed. It was just headlines, and you'd have to click them. When you go to the Cowboys page, you're going to have a rumor mill experience just like the main rumor mill. Same for all the other pages. And it's going to be that way for players too. There's going to be player pages where, in addition to stats and other information about the player, every story about the player. Let's say you're a big Jalen Hurts fan. You go to the Jalen Hurts page. Boom, you're going to get all the Jalen Hurts stories. If you're doing some research on something, if you're curious about history of stories involving Antonio Brown, boom, Antonio Brown. There they all are. Now, look, this is moving forward. We're not going to go back and reprogram everything we've done for the past 14 years at NBC, but it's going to lead to a much more robust experience and a more user-controllable adventure where it's not just the rumor mill. Teams, players, that's one of the big changes that I think a lot of people will ultimately enjoy once they get used to it. And I need to get used to it too. I need to learn more about it. For me, we had a meeting back in May. We've had some conference calls, but not many. I just need to jump in and swim or not. And so I'm kind of in the same shoes as the rest of you. There's still a lot of it I'm learning. I took a leap of faith because I trust and respect the people at NBC who are working on this, and they're trying to make it better for everyone. And I'm confident that as I get accustomed to it, if there's something I'd like to see changed, they'll listen to me and they'll change it. If there's an idea I have to improve something, I'll suggest it and we'll work together to improve it. So it's a very fluid process, and we're going to keep working on improving it constantly. Somebody told me years ago that a website is always in beta. It's always in beta because you're always looking for ways to tweak it a little bit and make it a little bit better. And it's never a fully finished site. And if it ever is a fully finished site, that's when it's time to start thinking about how you can make it even better. It's never completely done. Matt in St. Pete. The franchise tag number for running backs continues to decrease year over year. What do you believe is the most prevalent reason for the declining market value, durability, supply versus demand? Also, is there any shred of evidence that teams are colluding to keep values low? There's no evidence that they're colluding to keep values low. I just think it is supply versus demand. It's the fact that injuries are incredibly common for running backs, and teams are reluctant to create superstar running backs. I think it really started back post Sean Alexander, when he got his big contract after his MVP season of 2005. And after 1 year, the Seahawks ripped it up. That was about the time that Sean Payton decided, even though I've got Reggie Bush as the second overall pick, I'm still going to lean heavily on Deuce McAllister. And then they worked in Pierre Thomas eventually. And if you don't have one guy who is your main guy at running back, you never have to pay any one of them a ton of money. You're never in a position where one guy has a lot of power over you. Now, there's something to be said for having a workhorse running back, the guy who wears down defenses in the fourth quarter, and they just can't take it anymore. Guys like that are rare, though. And I think teams would rather have interchangeable parts because it keeps them from ever having to pay a ton of money. They end up having to pay a decent amount of money. But think about the guys who are the highest paid running backs. They've all evolved into that workhorse role. Alvin Kamara has always had someone else, but he's still got a high-end contract. For the most part, Dalvin Cook, Joe Mixon, Derrick Henry, those three along with Kamara got big contracts a couple of years ago. And Cooks has already been torn up, and Mixon's might be if he doesn't take less. And Derrick Henry was looking for a trade partner earlier this year because I think he wants an extension worth more than what the Titans want to give him. And that effort to find a new team via trade may have resulted in an acknowledgement and an awakening by Henry to the fact that there's no one else out there that's going to make that kind of investment in you at this stage of your career. But that's the reality. And look, the franchise tag calculation is more complicated than it used to be. I was trying to explain it the other day. It used to be the 5 highest cap numbers at the position in the prior year, the average of those 5 highest cap numbers. Now what it is it's the percentage of the salary cap consumed by the average of the 5 highest cap numbers at the position on a 5-year average rolling. So it smooths it out more. It gives you a better indication of how much of the cap the highest paid players at the position consume. The problem is with running back, how many of them are really making a ton of money? And all it takes is one guy or two that fall well below the other 3 in the top 5 to drive that number down. And that's what we've seen. The number has gone down 10.1 million this year. So you get a superstar like Saquon Barkley, who really should have a higher franchise tag number. I mean, there are a bunch of different ways the running back position can be addressed if the league and the union are willing to do it. I just haven't seen or heard anything to suggest to me that they are. Dilip Rao, is it possible that as valuations for teams keep rising and fewer billionaires are either interested or capable of ponying up the massive price tags, the NFL will begin to accept corporate ownership? I think that it's potentially coming. I think they'll move there more slowly. I saw at one of the league meetings this year, there was an effort made to at least have a discussion about the possibility of private equity funds being part of an investment group, not necessarily owning a team. The league has been very clear in its desire that there always be one person who speaks for the team, one person who holds the vote. And there's actually a rule that requires every owner to have in place a plan for who takes over as the one person if that one person dies or becomes incapacitated. Every year they have to update that. Who's your one person? Who's the one that takes over if you can't keep doing it? Now, they have corporate ownership in Green Bay, and it's not an issue. It's Mark Murphy. I don't know who the next one is if it's no longer Mark Murphy. And if you have the CEO of a company, that's the person who makes the decisions. That's the person who casts the votes. So it could be done. It could be done. It's just something the NFL has never embraced. The NFL's model all along has been individual ownership. But the time is coming where there will not be enough people with enough money to plunk down the 30% in cash or more to buy a team. And the other side of it is this. And this is one of those spots where I choose my words carefully, but I've made this point before. There's no test to be an NFL owner. There's no intelligence test as it relates to football. There's no competence test as it relates to business. There's no social test as to whether or not they're going to get along with their partners. The only thing that matters is, do you have the money to buy the team? That's it. Unless the person is a complete and total jerk, it's going to be the highest bidder that buys the team. And I don't know, at some point, you're sacrificing other factors that I think are far more important to the membership. Because if you get to the point where, and I don't want to name names, I mean, we know who has the most money out there, but let's say there's someone out there who has a ridiculous amount of money and has more than enough to just show up and sign a check for 100 cents on the dollar for an NFL team. But what if that person is a complete and total asshole that you don't want to do business with, that is going to bring down the business, that is going to be a negative presence? What do you do? Well, he's the only one that's got the money. I mean, look, they got to the point where they couldn't wait to get rid of Daniel Snyder. What if there's another Daniel Snyder and they know or should know on the way in that this guy is going to be a pain in their ass for years to come, but he's the only one that's got the money. He's the only one that can pay the 30%. He's the only one that's interested. That's when they have to consider changing their business model and what is and isn't allowed by way of private equity funds, other organizations, corporate ownership. I mean, wouldn't that be something if you could take the Patriots and have an initial public offering and just buy stock, real stock, not phony fake stock, real stock in the Patriots that appreciates in value, that rises and falls, that you can buy and sell in a real business. And I wonder how much the fake phony Packers stock is an impediment for the NFL allowing other teams to create their own unique corporate structure where you would sell real stock that would have real value, that could result in a real profit for you if you actually own it. I think these are all things that will be coming. Hopefully I'll live long enough to see it happen, because I feel like it's in that 10 to 20 year frame, and I'm doing the math. I hope I make it. We'll find out. Stay tuned to find out whether I drop dead at some point between the next 10 and 20 years when the NFL is in the process of altering its overall ownership structure. Everett M., do you have any plans to get some guests lined up for future PFT PMs while on hiatus? Hey, Everett, isn't it enough that it's me? Who do you want? Who do you want? Who do you want me to get? Everett and anyone else. Start suggesting via Twitter, because you can't do it on the comments anymore. Oops. Start suggesting via Twitter your ideas for potential guests, and we will take it under advisement. But I mean, this is, yeah, we could get, like, I would want somebody that would be less of an interview and more of a conversation, like Paul Allen. Like, I could try to get Paul Allen and we could have a conversation. I could try that. Let me know your ideas, Everett or anyone else, via Twitter, because that's the only way you can do it. Fringe-tastic, what's up with the website changes? I don't see comments. Are they gone? Please make a post about it. Yes, they are gone. If you've been listening to the program, Fringe-tastic, the comments are gone. Long live the comments. Use Twitter or other platforms, as you did. You use Twitter. See, it's easy. You use Twitter to complain about the absence of comments. Use Twitter to complain about anything you'd like to complain about me, about our content, about anything that you otherwise would have put in the comments. Brock Bollinger, what's the updated situation with Hard Knocks, and is there any timeline on a decision? I don't know of a timeline, but I will tell you this, and this is news. This is news. I should probably write a post about it at the new and improved PFT. The Jets are very concerned that they're going to get the tap, that they're going to get the call, that they're going to be told, we know you don't want to do it. Sorry, you're doing it. That's my current information. That's the best of my understanding. The Jets are bracing for the involuntary assignment to be the Hard Knocks team. They're clearly the best option of the four teams that could be forced to do it. But in the years the NFL has had this formula in place that in theory allows them to force a team to do it, they've never forced a team to do it. I don't think they want to force a team to do it, but I think they're going to twist the Jets' arm. And I think it'll be awesome with Aaron Rodgers talking about psychedelics and ayahuasca and vaccine conspiracies and 9/11 trutherism, and I have a feeling any of that stuff would end up on the cutting room floor. I probably should end this here. There's some other questions. Let me just scroll through these and see if anything jumps out. Tommy Caruso, with players seemingly complaining more in recent years about turf, do you foresee more stadiums making a change, like how the Bills announced their new stadium will contain natural grass? Well, the Titans are moving to turf even before they get into the new stadium. So I don't think the owners care. The owners who want turf don't care. They just don't. If they cared, they'd already have grass. They're smart enough to know that the injury rates are different, that you're protecting your investment. Even if you don't care about the players as people, you're protecting your investment in the players by providing them a surface that is less conducive to injury. They just don't care. They don't care. And they definitely don't seem to care about the fact that the players, even if they're not injured and able to keep playing and practicing, feel it more the day after playing on turf. They feel it more. And it makes sense. When the turf isn't absorbing the impact of your body, and instead it's resonating back up into your ankles and knees and hips and bones and ligaments and cartilage and everything, you're going to feel that the next day. I remember when we were kids and we had access to a turf field, and it was so cool. And, oh, we're going to play on, oh, it's fun. Hey, it's fun. It's better than grass. It's what the NFL uses. And I couldn't get out of bed the next morning. And I didn't get injured per se. I just couldn't get out of bed. Everything hurt, especially from the waist down. Every joint, every bone hurt because of the pounding and the fact that the forces weren't going into the ground. They were bouncing right back up into my body. So it's just, if it was ever going to change, it would have changed. And we need more pressure on the league and on the owners. And the union needs to be louder about it. Hopefully the new executive director will make this his or her primary cause. We just need to be louder and louder about it to get the owners to change it. We need to call out the ones who refuse to provide real grass for their teams. Mr. Palmerson, what will it take for the Chiefs to be remembered as a great NFL dynasty? Are they already at that point? Well, they've been to 3 Super Bowls and they've won 2. That already sets them apart from most other teams. I mean, think about it. Other than the Patriots, let me do the rewind here. Patriots of the last 20 years won 6. The Steelers won 2. The Colts won 1 with Peyton Manning. The Broncos won 1 with Peyton Manning. The Eagles won their fluky Nick Foles Super Bowl. Who am I missing? The Seahawks won 1. They should have won more than 1. The Ravens won 1 in 2012. They had another one under completely different circumstances in 2000. The Packers won 1. Just winning 2 is a big deal. Winning 2 is a big deal. And it's not easy. You got to thread some needles, some tight needles with some thick twine has to go through those needles to get you to a Super Bowl and win it. But the Chiefs have done it twice. And I think the more they do it, if they can continue to have that desire, that drive, and that determination, the more they do it, the easier it's going to get. Because it's going to be like Tom Brady was. You're no longer freaked out by the moments. You develop a belief that it's a given you're going to find a way to win. The more you come back from double-digit deficits in the second half of a Super Bowl, the more inevitable you feel it is. And also, it begins to trickle over to the opponent. The opponent starts to think, uh-oh, here it comes. And they get tight. You know, it's like when you're playing your big brother in ping pong and you have a lead and you start thinking about it. Like, I'm not supposed to be leading, and big brother has a habit of coming back and kicking my ass when I expect that he's not going to. That's when it happens. That creeps into the psyche of the opponent as well. All right. What else do we have? I should probably wrap it here. Need to get back to seeing. Here, look, why the redesign? You can't sort by team anymore. Yes, you can. This is from Coach V23. There is a team link, and it will be populated with stories specific to the team, not just links to stories, but stories specific to the team. So give it time. It will get better. You will like it. And I just, for the same reason I have a vested interest in the NFL getting its act together when it comes to officiating, gambling, and whatnot, I've got an even more vested interest in making sure that your experience is a good one so you will keep coming back to PFT, because that's all I have, folks. It's that or nothing. So I give you my personal money-back guarantee. You will eventually get used to the new site, and you will realize at some point, I actually prefer it. And if you had the ability at that point to look at the old site and compare it to what you've gotten used to, you'd say, oh God, I don't want that. No. Thank God. Thank God they changed that. I want this. I'm confident you'll get there sooner rather than later. Stick with us. Be patient. Thanks for some of your time. We'll do another edition of PFT PM on Tuesday. Enjoy the rest of your Monday. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.